Over there, please, and the rest of the team will join you shortly. Man of the match, of course, Darren Sammy. I would now like to introduce on stage the instant millionaires. Andre Fletcher, Shivnarine Chandapal, Ramnaresh Sarwan, Kyron Pollard, Sylvester Joseph, Dave Mohammed, Darren Sammy, Jerome Taylor, Darren Powell, and Suleiman Ben. If I can also please ask the skipper, Chris Gale, to come on stage too. Chris, just a couple of quick words. Chris, what a magnificent performance for your boys tonight.
Yeah, thanks a lot. First of all, let me thank God for this opportunity to be a part of this. Just that my congratulations to the team. Let me say well done to Kevin Peterson and his team. You know, well tried, and it was a good game, enjoyable game, but unfortunately we came out on top, and you know, very pleasing about it.
Okay, Chris, right, that's it. The trophy's there, but importantly the check for $20,000 US, which the purse is there. Congratulations, Stanford Superstars.
Well, that is a fat check, if ever I've seen one, for sure. $20 million US. Chris Gale has led his team very well, particularly this evening, but some proper performances from the squad as a whole. 17 of them in total, so 6, unlike England, which is 4, 6 share $1 million, but the 11 on the field take $1 million US each. Alan Stanford is delighted. He's right in the middle of it. He's saying that they can take on anyone in the world. We can beat anyone in the world. He can do that with his side. Remember, this is not the West Indies. This is the Stanford Superstars, selected by Sir Vivian Richards. We know the names like Gale and Chandapal and Sarwan and Powell and Sammy. However, there are some youngsters in there, stars of the future, Andre Fletcher being one, that is for sure. And England can only look on and think, what if? I've got Paul Allott and Nasser Hussain has joined us here in the studio. What do you make of that, Nass?
Well, it's an absolute drubbing, and it's an unusual end here because you could see there all the Stanford stars were on stage. There's nothing for the losers. So England are almost humiliated, sat in a little tent, no word with Kevin Peterson, no players, no medals, no money.
Nothing.
They just sat there watching these celebrations, and it just adds to their woes of what has already been a very bad day.
What did you make of Kevin Peterson's comments in his interview to you there?
Obscure. I think he was talking about the incidents with the wives, the incidents regarding lights, the outfield, the pitch, and complaints about everything, and not really buying into it. If you're going to do this tournament, you've got to do it for what it is. And that's a bit of an exhibition game. You come, you buy into it, and you give it absolutely everything. I think England have fallen between two stools, really, whether to come here and do that, like the Stanford Superstars have, or whether to say, well, do we really want, are we being humiliated? Have we been bought by Sir Alan Stanford? We shouldn't really celebrate. Remember when Kevin Peterson said that? Don't celebrate if you win. So I think they've not really worked out what this tournament's all about, and these boys have. And let's be honest as well, in pure skill levels, West Indies cricket has always been talented. Always be fearful of a young West Indies side, because there is always talent throughout the Caribbean. They've been in camp for 6 weeks, they've been highly trained, highly grooved, and now only for one day or 1 week, we've seen the results of that. Doesn't mean, as Sir Alan Stanford said, they are now the best side in the world. They've done well for 1 week.
That's an interesting point you raise about the camp, though, and the professionalism. A lot of this tournament is all about the jazz and the money, what we're seeing now. The faces of the England players contrasted to the face of the superstars who have won $1 million each. However, the other stuff that's going on around here getting professionalism back into West Indies cricket. That could be another positive that's come out of this event.
Well, that's what Sir Alan said. He said that we can take on anybody with his team, Stanford Super, in 2020, he means. I think he probably could. It's a pretty well put together unit. They seem to me to be more professional in their approach and the way they've gone through this camp than the West Indies are. Now that's saying something when you've got a philanthropist who comes along and throws all this money at the game of cricket, albeit 2020 cricket, and at each and every single island in the Caribbean, and then to bring them all together in something like this. He's showing the West Indies board how to get the best out of West Indies cricket.
So what are the lessons to be learnt for the West Indies cricket board if they are to move their cricket off the bottom, really, because it's languishing right down at the bottom? What can they learn from how this has been run and how they've trained?
They need to be more professional, more disciplined. Curfews, if curfews are the way to go, then put curfews in. Pick youth, don't just pick the same names, because on every island there are talents out there. There's another Andre Fletcher out there somewhere, so have your scouts out there. Get some of the old players involved, like Sir Vivian Richards, like Roger Harper that we spoke to, like Eldine Baptiste, people you know that will set the right tone around camps and not say, well, this is just how West Indians do it. This is not how West Indians do it anymore. This is what world cricket does now. The Australians are professional, the English boys are very professional, so we're going to have to be. But also, you need a little bit of, you know, just drag yourself in a little bit, boys. You've won well, you've won at home, but that doesn't mean it's the end of all of West Indies cricket's woes. If you travel away from home, are you going to show the same disciplines? When the ball's moving around, are you going to play for your off stump? Are you still going to swing from your backside? So, yeah, celebrate the moment, but realise there's a lot of hard work ahead as well. And now it's for those senior players and senior men like Eldine Baptiste and Sir Viv, maybe for Sir Viv to walk in there now and say, this is just a start. Enjoy the moment, enjoy the money, enjoy the party, but this is a start.
And that's just the key, isn't it, really, for the likes of Andre Fletcher, the likes of Suleiman Ben. If someone like Sir Vivian Richard comes in and says, look, you've done well, $1 million, thank you very much, but now you've got to kick on.
Well, yeah, and I think they probably will kick on. Viv Richards and his selection panel have picked a side with a core of West Indies players, proven players, and then the likes of Ben and Fletcher and Pollard, who are the up-and-comers. See how they're going to get on in this environment. They've seen them play in Stanford's 2020, and they've seen how they react in a 6-week camp, and that's why they've played in these 3 games that we've seen this week. They've obviously got talent, and they've got ability, and we've seen them perform this week.
I'd like to get your thoughts on the tactics in this game, because I haven't managed to speak to you about that. Paul and I were discussing, perhaps in hindsight, wonderful thing that England won the toss, should have bowled the pressure on 11 out, attacking 2 batsmen, rather than trying to set a target on that surface, which has been difficult all week.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I was thinking, as they all went out, what would I rather be? It was like in my first test match, I was quite happy to be out in the field, sampling the atmosphere, soaking in a little bit of the pressure, rather than strolling out at whatever number 5 or 6, immediately under that pressure. Now, that was a very selfish thing of me to look at what I would rather do as a team, as a captain. You've got to think, well, what would the team, what's best? Now, historically on this ground, batting first has been the way to go. Maybe not so much this week, but historically that's been the way to go. Kevin Pietersen has, his strength is his bowling, so he thought if he posted a score, then you hit him with the 3 big lads and you'll protect. Now, it was going well at 21, 22 without loss. They looked a bit sloppy, a little bit nervous, and then 1 over changed it. I just felt the England batsmen overdid things. They overstepped across their stumps. Ian Bell went leg side, Pryor and Pietersen went offside. And now, well, you know when you're nervous, either on the golf course or whatever, when you're nervous, you tend to overdo things. You overdo whatever it is, your weakness. And I just think that they overdid their movements across because of the nerves, because of the tension. And they paid the price, really. It was but all credit, 2 sides are playing, Ian, and you know that. 2 sides playing, all credit to the skill levels of the superstars. They hardly put a foot wrong.